Today we're going to be taking a look at this. It's the Duken T60 telescopic light. I've used a fair few of these tube lights over the years, you know, the sorts of things that are battery powered and you can rig them about easily and quickly spruce up your scenes. I've never found a light that I could justify buying. They've either been too big and bulky and expensive, or just not very good quality. But after testing this, I really like it, and it's probably going to be getting a permanent place in my kit bag. Full disclosure, Duken did send me this unit to test, but they're not paying me, so I'll be giving you my honest opinion. I only generally do reviews of items of kit that I actually like. This light is very lightweight, retails at about £200. It has a range of between 2000 and 8000 Kelvin. It has full RGB functionality, and for the size, it gets pretty bright. And the obvious star feature of this light is the fact that it's telescopic.
Yes, it's an extender.
Yeah. I've never actually seen anything quite like this. It allows you to pack it down into a much smaller light and a much smaller footprint when you're traveling, and it obviously gives you effectively two sizes of light. And what's even better is that when you do extend it, there's no penalty in the light output, which is amazing. You still get just as bright a light as you do when you have it at half size. You know, the quality of the light is also really nice as well. It's very diffuse and soft, so you shouldn't really need to have to add much more diffusion to the light when you're using it. I think the features and the price point of this light are really going to make it one of those items that you pick up and you just keep it in your kit bag. You can use it as an accent light to push colour into your scenes, or as a backlight or hair light for interviews, which is probably where I'll use it the most. It comes with a carry case, a remote, some little tripod legs, and a charger. I think it'll be especially useful also for product videographers. I'll definitely be using it when I am shooting shots of kit. So its small size means it's really easy to rig or mount anywhere. You know, if you have got the rigging kit, you can pretty much stick it anywhere. You can stick it to walls, ceilings. I mean, you can probably even just use gaffer tape or zip tie. It has a standard 1/4" screw at the bottom. It also comes with its own tripod feet, which I love because then you sort of also just get this instant freestanding light, which is great. Battery wise, it's rated at around 2 hours at full output, and it takes about an hour and a half to charge. I've also powered and charged it via a D-tap cable using a V-lock battery, which I also love, and is great in those instances where you don't have mains power. There are basically two ways to control the unit from an app, which I'll talk about in a minute, but there's also on the back there's this detachable remote which attaches with magnets onto the back of the unit, and it's also charged through the device when it's plugged in. The integration of the remote is honestly really cool. I really like that, although if I were to offer some advice for improvements, I'd recommend a scroll wheel on this remote rather than a sort of a touch pad, which I find really fiddly to use when I'm making large adjustments in color intensity or brightness and stuff like that. The remote also gives you a battery readout for the light and for itself, and you can obviously access all the settings of the light through the remote, which include HSI, hue, saturation, intensity for color, and CCT for color temperature, Kelvin. The other way to control the light is through the app, and this is the way I think I'll generally be interacting with the light, because I was surprised to find that the app was actually really good. I know that sounds really cynical, but it's just really responsive and connects quickly to the light via Bluetooth, and you can just really quickly access all of the features of the light through this app, and it just works really well. It's just really simple. Now, if you're using the app, there's a series of panels to access all the features. The first panel has CCT controls with preset values for Kelvin and brightness adjustments. Then we have a tone panel for dialing in color through hue, saturation, intensity, or RGB, red, green, blue. And again, it's very quick and easy to use. There's also a panel where you can save your own presets, which is nice. Then you have effects, the sort of bog standard things that come with lights like this, you know, police car, fire, fireworks, TV, you know, stuff like that. And you can adjust the speed and brightness of all of these effects, which is really great because on a lot of lights, they're just one setting and that's it. And then there's one really cool feature on the app, which is the color picker. And you can basically use your camera on your phone to take a picture of something and then choose a color from that. I really like it, it's cool. I mean, I can't see myself using it in a ton of circumstances, but if I wanted something where I want the equivalent of a color, then I could use that. On my testing, it's not super precise or accurate, and obviously it's going to depend on the quality of your camera and the lighting you're in, because that will affect the temperature of the color. So it's a cool feature to include, but if you need very precise settings, then it's always going to be better to dial those in. Things I would consider improving for the unit, the build quality maybe. You know, it is plastic. For this sort of product, it's probably going to take quite a lot of punishment if you're using it week in, week out. And I think it will probably suffer quite quickly if you're not careful with it. I'd also question the durability of the telescopic engineering over time. I think this is probably the weakest part of the structure of the lights, and it will probably be receiving the most wear and tear over time. Another thing, personally, I'm not a fan of is the way that the power socket for the cable is on the front, the same side as the lights. Generally, power cables tend to come from behind the unit. I think if you were using these as practicals in a scene, it could look pretty messy if you've got the cables coming out the front, and if you're powering from a D-tap cable with a battery, it could also get in the way. So where does this light sit relative to others on the market? Well, you have the big lads like the Titan tubes, which are fantastic industry-leading lights, but they're obviously very expensive, they're bulky and heavy, and they're not something that I could ever justify spending lots of money on. There's also more recently more affordable NAN lights, which are still quite expensive, and again, to justify purchasing those, I'd have to be using them a lot, and they're obviously, you know, big and bulky to carry around. What I really like about this is that it's both affordable and compact. So there isn't really any cost or penalty for me to just bring this along to every job I go on. It's easy to just chuck it in my kit bag. It's not very heavy, it's not very big. And that's where lights like this come in handy. It's always when you're on a shoot and you suddenly realize you need to pop a color or to punch in a bit of light in the scene. A lot of the stuff I do is documentary work, and you don't always have time to properly light stuff. So having something like this on hand where you can just very quickly chuck it in, quickly vary the amount of light you're pushing into a scene, it's just going to be a really useful piece of kit for me to have. Overall, I really like this light. For the price, you just can't really go wrong, and I think I may even pick up a second one. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. If this thing is still going in 6 months, then I could easily see myself picking up a couple of these to use in my productions. If you want to purchase these lights, I have got some affiliate links with a decent discount available below. I obviously make a small commission from these, so if you do want to support my channel and you're interested in buying these lights, please consider purchasing using those links. Otherwise, if you have any other questions, as usual, please stick them in the comments down below and I'll do my best to cover them. See ya!